First thing I did is I made the artwork that I supposed to add the rain effect to. The reason why this part is sped up is because I already made videos before explaining these techniques. Also because I don't want this video to be 1 hour long or even longer. So if you are interested to know more about them in depth, I will leave the links in the description, or you can just go and visit my playlist on this channel and watch all of my videos. That's of course if you have time to. Also, you can find all of the links to the stock images that I used in the description. I got them all from Adobe Stock website. To make the rain brush on the models, the objects, first let's add a new document like that. Make sure it's beneath 5,000 pixels on both width and height. For me, I go with 1920. You can choose any size and just make sure both width and height may have the same number. Just make sure it's not above 5,000 or 4,000. Now we have this black background. I'm going to add new layers, or let's just duplicate it 3 times. We just need 3 layers with black background. I'm going to hide these 2. I'm going to the first one. I'm going to filter, pixelate, mesotint, and I'm going to add long lines. And for the other one, I'm going to add medium lines. And for this one, I'm going to add short lines. Let's turn them all to screen blending mode. And let's click on Ctrl T for the free transformation, and let's rotate them all on the 90 degree on the clockwise. Let's merge them all together. Now let's add a blur by going to filter, blur, and click on blur. Now click Ctrl A, or let's go to select and all. This is the shortcut for it. Ctrl A to select the whole canvas, and then click Ctrl C to copy, and then add a mask to that layer. Click and hold Alt to enter that mask, and then click Ctrl A to select the canvas again, and then click Ctrl V to paste. Now we have this shape right here, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the gradient tool. Make sure to go to the basics and choose the transparent one, and make sure the color is black. Now we'll click on the mask and choose hard mix, and then drag just like that from both the top and the bottom and the sides to leave ourselves with shape like that, and then choose the vivid light to get rid of the white spots on the edges. Now before we apply this one, I'm going to duplicate the layer and apply the layer mask. But before, I made a mistake right here. I'm going to duplicate the layer and I'm going to apply the mask. Then go to filter, blur gallery, and path blur. Make sure the speed is around 15%, and let's change that, the direction of that to the top. Let's make another one that's going to the side, and let's add another one that's going from that side, and other one that's going like that. And we finish, and then click OK. Now let's merge them together, and we have our raindrops right here. You can always duplicate the layer and add blur to the new duplicated. Make sure it's not too harsh if you want, but for me I will go with this one. Make sure just to merge it with the black background, and then click Ctrl I to invert the black and white. Then go to edit, click on define brush preset to make it a brush, and name it raindrops or whatever you want to name it. Now let's add a new empty layer and fill it with black, and let's see how our brush is like. It looks good. Let's go to F5. Let's click off F5 to go to brush settings, or let's just go to window, brush settings. This is the shortcut for it, F5. what you want to add right here is the shape dynamics and the transfer. Make sure the transfer is on the flow jitter 100%. And for the shape dynamics, let's add just a bit of size jitter, and let's see. It looks good. If you want to paint the rain on a spheric object or object that goes bumpy or have, let's say, rotated directions, you might want to add the direction. So when you paint, the rain or the stroke of the brush follows the rotation of the mouse direction. This is for the rain that you want to add to models or the objects. If you want to add rain to the road or flat surfaces, what you want to do is to do the same steps that we did before. It doesn't matter if you go in the order of these three, as long as you are going to turn them to screen and rotate them. Then let's merge them together and let's duplicate the layer. And what you want to do now, right now, is to click on Ctrl T, that's the free transformation shortcut. Click on the right mouse button and click on Flip Vertical. Then turn it to screen blender mode. And right here we have in the middle this shape right here. It looks like the rain is hitting the ground, and this looks like it's the mirror or the reflection of the rain. So we want this place right here. First, go to Filter and add Blur, and then click Ctrl A to select the canvas, Ctrl C to copy, and then add a mask. Enter the mask and Ctrl V to paste. Now, let's do the same steps again. I'm going to select the gradient tool with a hard mix blender mode, and I'm going to drag it all the way to this point where the rain looks like it's hitting the ground. And then I'm going to drag from here and then from the sides. Then I'm going to select the vivid light to clear these white dots. When the rain hits the ground, it always appears too bright on the bottom, on the areas that it's dropping. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the blender mode to soft light and choose a white color, and I'm going to drag it from here and make the raindrops or the drops at the bottom more bright, and make them appear from here as well. And add blur to the mask and apply it. Maybe add more blur to the whole rain brush. Merge them together and click Ctrl I to invert the colors. Then go to Edit and define brush preset. And name it Raindrops Road or Flat Surface. So we have the brushes that we need right now, and let's go and apply it to our scene. And let's start with the flat surface. I already made all of these raindrops shapes. The more you make, the more options that you get. So we made this two right here. I'm going to choose the first one, and I'm going to F5. This is brush settings again. Let's add the size jitter, and maybe, I don't know what this does, just a bit of the angle, not too much. And I don't know about the roundness. Let's leave it like that and transfer just like that, and start to paint. And let's take it beneath our model layer so it doesn't cover it. Let's add a new empty layer and paint more like that and make it smaller. Now, it looks too much, but there's something that you can do to control how much raindrops that you want. First, let's merge them together and add a blur. What you want to do now is click and hold Control until you see that square on the mouse. and then click on the layer that we just painted and add the mask. Now we don't have much rain, and also you can control the amount of the rain that you want by clicking Control L. This is the levels menu, and if you move this slide, you are going to add more raindrops. If you move this slide, you are going to add more contrast. So this is for the area of the flat surface. And I'm going to use the other one, and this is the reason why I made all of these rain brushes, to always give me different options to choose between. So let's go to F5, add the size jitter, and maybe flip X jitter and the transfer, and let's see. And let's also add just a bit of the scatter. I'm painting in a random order. I'm just clicking on some random areas. Then add blur to it. Click Control and add the mask. And with Control L, let's start to add the raindrop. It's time to give the rain a color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge them together. And with Control U, I'm going to take down the lightness just a bit so we can add the color. And then I'm going to add channel mixer, turn it to color blender mode, and I'm going to add the blue and the cyan. And you can change the blender mode to screen. Now let's add the rain to the model by using the first one. Let me add just a bit of flow. You can either use the shift and the arrow keys trick to change the rotation, as you can see right here in this number. If you click and hold shift and the arrow keys, that will change the rotation of the brush. So if it's on 100, it's painting on the vertical side. And if you go back to 0 degree, you are painting on a horizon side. It's either you use that or you can just use the direction from here. So it can follow the direction of the way you're painting with the mouse. It's okay if a lot of raindrops are going inside the model. Don't mind that, because we are going to erase it with the eraser tool. Just make sure you make the brush size smaller and you paint more on the areas that you feel like the rain will hit or fall into. After you're finished, use the eraser to erase the areas that you don't want inside the model. After you finish, add the blur. Then click with the control and add the mask. And then with the levels, you can control the amount or the brightness and contrast of that raindrop. And again, if you don't like some areas, you can use the overlay or the hard mask, the hard mix. And as you can see, using the overlay, I'm adding contrast to the areas that I'm painting on. Of course, the rain is not going to reach this point, so it's not necessary. Apply the mask, decrease the lightness, add a color to the rain, then turn it to screen blending mode. And I'm going to add a new layer for his hair. Before we move on to the other effects, let me just show you how I made the rain in the first scene. First, let me separate the model from the background. I'm going to sample a color from the background. Make sure it's on normal, and let's drag like that, and I'm going to turn it to lighting maybe. I'm going to take just a bit of the saturation. Yeah, just like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the rain to the scene, and that's by adding a new empty layer and fill it with black. Let's go to filter, pixelate, mezzotint, and let's choose the short lines first. And I'm going to rotate it like that and change and scale it up from the free transformation tool, just like that. And then select the whole canvas and go to image, click on crop. And then I'm going to add just a bit of blur to it. Maybe let's add more. And I'm going to click Ctrl L to get the levels, and I'm going to make a high contrast between the whites and blacks, maybe more. Yeah, this is good. And let's turn it to screen blender mode, and I'm going to add a new empty layer, fill it with black as well, and go to render, add clouds, scale it to 600 in both height and width, and I'm going to click Ctrl A and go to image and crop it. I'm going to add levels by clicking Ctrl M, and I'm going to take the midtones down and the highlights just a bit. Then I'm going to click Ctrl A to select the canvas, Ctrl C to copy it. Then I'm going to add a mask to the rain that we just made. Enter the mask by clicking and holding Alt and then the mask, then click Ctrl A, then Ctrl V to paste. And now the rain is going to be visible in the white areas on the mask, which is the cloud. And let's take the destiny just a bit down. And let's take the whole opacity to 60%. And let's enter the mask, go to filter, camera raw filter. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add effects, Vintin. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but what it do is it adds the black shade on the corners. So I want the mask to be only shown in the middle, not the corners. And I'm going to paint in a low flow on the model because I don't want it to be affected with the rain too much. Just a bit like that. And then I'm going to add a new empty layer and fill it with black again. Let's go to filter, pixelate, mezzotint, and this time I'm going to choose the medium lines. And again, I'm going to rotate it and make it bigger, scale it up, crop the image. Let's add maybe lens blur to it. I don't want it to be sharp lines. And also I don't want it to be too blurred, so I'm going to choose the field blur maybe. This one looks good. I'm going to select the whole canvas, Ctrl C and then Ctrl V on the mask. Apply the layer mask, add a lighting from the hue and saturation, and then take it down so this spots is not too harsh. Turn to screen blender mode and let's scale it even more. Maybe let's go for and then apply the clouds mask. If you like this video so far and you want to explore more techniques like this, then let me tell you about my digital landscape reloaded course. where I explain the basics of photo manipulation, concept art, and matte painting, and also explain more in depth the techniques, tips, and tricks that I use in my artworks. Also, you can find full-length tutorials where I show you how I make the artworks from the beginning to the end without cutting or skipping. You can find the link in the description, and without any further ado, let's continue with the video. Now what I'm going to do is I want to try this technique on that model, or this model right here. So let's quickly fix the value and all of that, the colors and what so. By the way, this tutorial is not about the coloring, so I'm not going to explain all of these things because I already did in previous videos that you can watch in my playlist on the channel. Now what I want to try with the umbrella is the effect of rain falling from the umbrella. So what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to add a new empty layer and fill it with black. And let me hide all of these layers so I can see clearly. And let's go to filter and add pixelate, mesotint. Let's add medium lines. Rotate it like that, make it a lot bigger, and let's crop it, add bit of blur, multiple times, blur more. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a displacement map for the umbrella. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the umbrella at the top, the layer of the model, and I'm going to merge the model and the umbrella together. Maybe let's make it less black, a gray one. Maybe 50% gray, and let's merge them together. Turn the layer to black and white, and let's go to layer, duplicate the layer to a new document, and let's name it umbrella displacement map. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add contrast with the levels adjustment layer or levels menu. And then let's go to filter, blur, and let's go to filter, blur more, and let's duplicate it multiple times by clicking on Alt, Control F, or you can just go to filter and click like that. Now that we have it, let's save it as a BSD on our computer. I'm getting back the rain, and what I'm going to do to the rain is go to filter, distort, and let's go to wave. Let's randomize it and see different lines that can get us like that. Then I'm going to select the whole canvas and then go to distort, displace, make sure it's style. Let's give them 50, both of them, and let's go to the umbrella displacement map. Let's select the model and let's add it as the mask to the new layer that we made. Okay, the displacement didn't do too much job, so let's do it again multiple times. What I want is lines that looks like the rain is dropping from the umbrella. So this one looks good, so I'm going to apply the layer mask for now and add a black background and merge them together. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add more brightness from the levels. Then select the whole canvas by clicking Ctrl A, Ctrl C to copy, then add the mask, enter it, Control A again, and Control V to paste it. Now we have those lines. Apply the mask. Now let's add lightness from hue and saturation. And let's keep that right here. Let's make a new layer, a duplicated layer from these ones. And for that new layer, I'm going to add a background that's black and merge them together. Leave it just right there. And also I'm going to do this one. First, I'm going to make sure it's completely white. Then I'm going to decrease the lightness to -50. The reason why is because I want it to be 50% gray. Let's clip it to the layer of the model. Maybe let's leave some of those here and erase those ones because I can't see the rain dropping from there. Like that. Now the reason why I want it to be 50% gray, because if you click 2 times on the layer that we made and you go to bevel and emboss, and let's reset to default, and let's start to give it a shiny look that looks like a rain is reflecting the light. Maybe this one is good. Let's see this one. This one looks better. So we change the gloss. You can change the angle. And let's see what the size do. Maybe let's change the size. The main goal here is to add that white and black spots to the 50% gray layer. So now if we go to the blender mode and change it to overlay, the 50% color is going to disappear. It's not visible anymore. Also, we are left with the black and the white reflections that's coming from both the highlight mode and the shadow mode. It looks like a rain drops already, so we don't have to work too much on it. You can always go back, change the angle, change the counter right here from the shape from here. For me, it's already looking good. Maybe let's make the shadows less dark. You can change, and maybe also let's make this the highlights mode less bright. It looks very good, actually. I'm satisfied with it. Now, speaking of that technique, we can always do it again by changing the color to 50% gray. Add a new empty layer and paint like that. First, make sure the flow is 100, and let's paint on the sides or the edges of the umbrella. Make sure it's normal mode. After painting that stroke right here, the next thing you need to do is select the bottom side of it. So don't select the upper areas, just select, start from the mid of it, the half, let's say the half of it, and just go like that. Now let's go back to distort and wave. Here we have the preview. What you can do is we can see what we're trying to do is to get that raindrops look from there. That doesn't look very good, so let's try again. Now, because wave is giving us these very tiny shapes, what I decided to do is to select the upper areas like that and the bottom areas. And you can see, as you can see, I didn't select these ones and these ones because I don't want to affect all the image. I want to affect this area, and this area. The reason why I did that is the bigger range that you gave the wave to, the more tiny and detailed the shapes will get. So now if we tried wave, let's randomize and click OK. As you can see now, it gives us more of that rainy look. So I'm going to go back and try again, but let's see, maybe let's... I think this one looks good. Maybe let's give it more wave to it. That's too much. I think let's just go with that. Let me delete these ones right here. And let's apply the same technique as before. Does it look like the rain is dropping from the umbrella? Not yet. Maybe let's change the angle. Make sure you are not using that so you don't affect the others. I think those are nice results. What I'm going to do is I'm going just to erase that line right here. Now it looks like the raindrops are coming from the umbrella. And by the way, guys, this thing or this technique, this is the first time I'm trying it live in front of you. I have never used this before. I just hoped it will work, and I think it did. To be honest, it looks it is a very nice result. I'm going to work more on the scene with the girl right here. Or male, I don't really know. It's hard to tell with these clothes. This is the end of this video. I hope you got value from this tutorial. If you did, make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to follow us on our social medias. If you find some of these tips hard to understand or complicated, then make sure to watch the videos that I mentioned in this tutorial. Also, don't forget to check my Digital Landscape Reloaded course. All of the links are going to be down in the description. And without any further ado, I will see you in the next tutorials. Peace.